Hey guys, welcome back to Mark Remeets Roll. I'm your host, Mark Levy, and I am so unbelievably excited to be here today to return back to Mark Remeets Roll with you. Sorry about the little hiatus there. Sometimes just your brain gets a little crazy, and you're like, I can't really talk about Boy Meets World, even though you want to talk about Boy Meets World all the time, because this is what your life is like sometimes. Yes. Okay. Doesn't matter. I'm happy. I'm back. We have a new episode today. I'm doing this by myself for the first time in a little bit, so that's pretty exciting. And today's episode is going to be actually a really good one. It's one that's got a very fun theme to it. It's called The Fugitive. It's episode 17 from season one. And if you haven't had a chance to watch it yet, please do so now. Okay, so the episode aired on February 11th, 1994. It was directed by David Trainer, of course, and written by Jeff Sherman, who wrote On the Fence. The plot of the episode is Shawn gets in a lot of trouble and asks Corey to help. So basically, it starts off with a crazy, crazy rainstorm. Corey's going to go outside to play baseball, and Alan comes home and he's like, "What are you doing? It's raining outside." And Corey's like, I'll play baseball in the rain. Don't you remember days like that, guys? Like when you want to play baseball in the rain. And Alan tells Corey he should hang out inside and hang out with Morgan, who has a red zinger tea party, which is pretty cool. And so dejected, Corey goes back upstairs, goes to his room, and he immediately gets a hand on his shoulder, and the hand is Shawn. Shawn's covered, wet, soaked to the core, and he's like, the FBI are after him. And then he goes to a commercial break. Well, it goes to the credits and, all that fun stuff with the fun, like, 1990s craziness in the opening credits. And then you find out when it comes back from the credits that Shawn had a cherry bomb that was like in his pocket all day. He wanted to use it so badly all day, and he kept telling himself, no, he should be better. He shouldn't do it. And then he's down on K Street, and he lights it up, and he's like, I'm gonna use it. And there's a line that Corey says, like, "You blew up the Market Giant. That's my dad's store. I have mixed feelings about this." Well, he didn't blow up the Market Giant. What he did is he blew up a mailbox. He laid it up, and he's gonna get this away from me. He throws it in the mailbox, and then the mailbox explodes a little bit. The metal comes out a little, but it doesn't do anything severe. And Shawn asks Corey to hide Shawn for a few days until things calm down. And Shawn and Corey's like, sure, but I don't know how to do that. And they go all over the room, and Corey's like, hey, hide in my closet. He opens the closet, a whole bunch of crap comes falling down, and then this is a really weird part. Corey is like, hey, Shawn, hide it in my bed. And he's like, there's something living underneath my bed, but it's okay. And then you find out there might actually be something potentially living underneath Corey's bed, which that's weird. That's weird. Like, what kind of thing could be living underneath a 12-year-old's bed? Beside for my mind's just a whole bunch of old food just hanging out there, just being disgusting and all that stuff. But that's how that happens sometimes, and so basically, Corey's like, okay, I'm gonna get you some food. I'll be cool. I'm cool. We got this. I'm your accomplice. I'm your accomplice, boy. Cuts to Corey's at the table, and he's awkwardly shoveling so much food in his plate, and Alan's just sitting there just like, Corey, you're grounded for 2 weeks. I have no idea what you're doing, but you're grounded for 2 weeks. He knows it's serious, and Corey's like, no, nothing's awkward happening. He's just shoveling more food on the plate, all the meatloaf he can, and then he goes back upstairs after hearing a loud thud, and when he goes upstairs, he sees Shawn's there, wearing all Corey's clothes. And these clothes, since if you don't know the difference, Ryder Strong is 5 inches taller than Ben Savage back at this point in the show. And the jeans are that far off, from they're just too high. Everything's too small for him, but it's all fitting him, sort of. And then what happens is Eric comes in and Shawn decides to hide. And we get a callback to it from a few episodes ago about how Shawn is a smelly, dirty child. And like, cause it like Eric is like, it smells like dog. Did you get a dog? And like that's like basically what you think, what he thinks is happening. And Corey is so passionate about things that he's actually terrible about hiding things. That's a thing that we learned in this episode. I mean, we know that beforehand, but it's also like a thing that gets called back to here. And eventually, Eric finds out, and he's like, "Okay, cool. This is how I'm not going to tell on our parents. You guys are going to do my chores for the next 2 weeks." And Alan comes upstairs, and Shawn hides, and he's like, "Hey, someone's gonna take out the trash," and Corey is like, and then Eric's like, "Corey will do it." So the next day at school, we actually only get like one appearance of Topanga and Mingus in this episode, and they both have maybe Mingus has like 4 lines, Topanga's got like 2 lines, and they're talking about, like, the whole school is talking about how Shawn is in trouble. Like, everyone knows that Shawn's in trouble. Like, Shawn did not go home the night before. Everyone knows that Shawn's in a lot of trouble. And everyone automatically assumes that he's hiding at Corey's house, which is not the worst assumption ever. And then Feeney, with his lesson for the day, is having the kids open up the book, and they're going to read The Telltale Heart. And if you don't know The Telltale Heart, it's all about a person having basically an anxiety attack for murder. And we get a great William Daniels just reading The Telltale Heart poetically, beautifully, what he normally does. And then, like, you start hearing, like, dun dun, dun dun, dun dun, dun dun, dun dun, dun dun, and like close-ups on Corey and all that stuff. And like Corey's just having a full-blown anxiety attack, but try and keep it cool, try and keep it calm. And so then we cut to the home, and Amy is vacuuming, singing a song, and she's vacuuming Corey's bed. You hear ow, 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 and she might know Shawn's there, but it's not like definite. Like, the vacuum's loud, and you hear ows, and then that's it, pretty much. And then Alan, I forgot about this part. It's pretty funny. So Corey gets home, and Amy leaves the room, and you find out that while Corey was at school, Shawn reorganized Corey's closet, like perfectly reorganized Corey's closet, because he had nothing better to do. Alan comes home. He knows about the explosion in the mailbox, and Alan basically knows that Shawn is there. And he's like, he knows that Shawn's there, and he's like, so he sits on Corey's bed. You hear, ow. Like, you're, ooh, and like Corey's, ooh, like to like try and pretend to be Shawn. So Alan keeps just sitting on the bed. And when Alan leaves, Shawn's like, I blacked out for a little bit. I didn't hear everything because I got sat on so many times. And Shawn runs away when he's basically told to go to his parents. And Corey goes downstairs. He's like, oh my God, Shawn ran away. And Alan's like, oh my God, under your bed, not the one that I sat on. And then Feeney goes to school at night, and he immediately sees us sleeping back there, and Shawn's there. And Shawn's like, oh my God, why'd you do this? Why'd you why did you find me? All that stuff. And Feeney's like, I came here to grab some canvas, because I like to paint on the weekend. And, forgot about that part. So I want to go back because there's that scene with Alan when Shawn leaves is really, really important. So Alan's talking about how Shawn's got rough edges, and this is important. Like, we've always known that Shawn's from the wrong side of tracks, Corey's from the right side of tracks, and we find out that when Alan was 12 years old, he was a Shawn. but he raised a Corey. And Alan was a troublemaker, and he wanted to like hitch a train to California, get married, have kids, young, awesome. And Corey's like, Dad, did you ever go to California? He's like, no, I didn't. So then we cut back to the school, as I was saying, and Feeney sees Shawn asleep inside the class, and he's talking about how canvas is a hard thing to rip, like because he likes to paint on the weekends, and he's like, but once you make a little small cut, it's super easy. And it's kind of like the friendship between Shawn and Corey, and he doesn't want them to like stop being friends, but he also wants Shawn to be better. And it's like this really cool, beautiful moment between Will Daniels and Ryder Strong that you don't really get too often in the show in the early years. And then after this like beautiful moment, he's getting ready to leave, and then Corey appears, and then he says, "All week long, you two ate together classroom, and then you sneak into it, and then he leaves, and then Corey and Shawn have their moment, and Corey convinces Shawn to go home and take the punishment, and that's pretty much it. And then in the final scene during the credits, it's a month later, and Shawn is free, and everything's exciting, and like everyone's watching TV. Amy's entering numbers in the computer. Eric's on the phone, and then boof, power goes out. You find out that that power was not paid because when Alan mailed the payment, it was in the mailbox that Shawn blew up. So then Shawn sneaks out in the darkness. And that was the episode. And it was a really fun one. It's a really great episode. You guys see different sides of the show. It's pretty much a bottle episode. Almost everything happens inside of Corey's room. But let's talk about the Minkus Minute. Minkus Minute. There's not much to talk about in this episode when it comes to Minkus. In his little scene, in the beginning of the scene, he's talking about how Shawn wants to build more prisons and give back to the country in that way. And later, when things are getting a little bit dicey with the whole right before Telltale Heart stuff starts, he literally is in the episode for like 30 seconds. He's like, "What? Where are you hiding, Shawn? Where are you hiding, Shawn?" And like, because he wants to get back to the bottom of the case. And Feeney's like, calm down. And Minkus walks away. And that's the last time we see Minkus' episode. But what I love about Minkus' episode is we get the fiery Minkus that we all love to see every once in a while. We get a chance to see fiery Minkus. And that is one of my favorite things about Minkus. And that is the Minkus Minute. Minkus Minute. All right. And now it's time for Betsy Randall's best TV mom in the world. A one, 2, 3, 4. Betsy Randall's the best TV mom. Yeah. We get a lot of supporting Amy in this episode. She's not the main person with the whole situation. I'd say Alan is the main parent in this episode. We get a very, very funny scene where she's vacuuming, and the whole like Shawn being like, ow, ow, ow. And it's not the richest Amy episode. It is an Amy episode where you actually see her doing her job at the very end, which you don't really see that, like, because I think a lot of people always think Amy as just like a housewife, but she also has she's a realtor, I believe at this point in the series, and yeah. But it's also an episode where you get the full what is Amy Matthews and what makes her tick as a parent, and she wants Corey to do what's right, so he doesn't become like a hoodlum. And we don't get much of her, but what get of her is good, and that's what's always good about when it comes to her. Now it's time for my episode MVP. This is it's a tough one. There's a couple people that can definitely qualify it, but I'm actually going to give it to Ryder Strong here. It's the first time I feel like he's had a very strong episode, where like his acting is not as much of an issue. The writers play into his like weaknesses as an actor here, and it's really fun and like a lot of funny moments, especially with him and Corey. And then like when he gets to the heart stuff towards the end, he does a pretty good job there. That means a lot to me. I like to see stuff like that. It makes me very, very happy to see the show go the way that the show wants it to go and work the way it wants it to. And like the whole Alan like, thing is like hilarious, and also came very close to giving the award to William Daniels and Ben Savage, but this is a Shawn episode through and through, and they did a great job, especially because like this episode came out I think a few months after the movie The Fugitive. And the episode is also called The Fugitive, and it's very much The Fugitive, especially the whole wet Shawn in the beginning. I think they did a really great job with this episode. It's one that I kind of remember from when I was growing up, and I really enjoyed rewatching it. But yeah, that's the episode. I'll be back here next week. I believe my guest will probably be Rachel Nielsen. We'll be watching episode 18, which will be very cool. We're almost done season 1, guys. Very excited about that. I almost forgot to put this in here because I haven't done this in a month. But if you want to be part of Mark Remeets World or want to send a question to Mark Remeets World, email me at markremeetsworld@gmail.com. And back to what I was editing before. Also, yeah, if you like the show, please rate, subscribe, all that stuff. If you like what you're saying, as you saw in the beginning of this, I got a Mark Talk video showing everything that's going to happen. In Mark Talk. This is like the one non-live thing I do on the channel. But yeah, thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye.